Evening. Some rivalries fade with time. This one doesn't. Manchester United versus Arsenal shaped English football, not just for one season, but for an entire era. Tonight, we're not just going to preview the game, we're going to revisit history, because history never dies. And we're live. Good old fashioned United lens back, ready to go. But tonight, as I said, this is about the pains of the past, the bright future ahead, and the big Arsenal derby. It's not technically a derby on paper, but if you're a true United fan of the Premier League era, this game's as big as they get. You know, Ferguson versus, well, I was going to say the Elephant Man. If you know, you know. But, you know, they've got Vieira Keane. We've got, who was it? Evra and Lauren. You could just keep going. The amount of things. Currently, Bruno versus Odegaard in midfield. There's always battles in this. Keown versus Van Nistelrooy. You know, but this is what shaped the Premier League. These two going at it. Who'd be top goal scorer? Rooney, Henry. You know, simple little things, but this is bigger than all of that. So we're going to start off tonight looking at the Arsenal suspected lineup. Then we'll move on to United and what everyone's now calling Carrick ball. See, will he change the starting 11? You know, will Sesko come back in? Cunha, anyone like that? And then you've got a few little bits of information come out from the press conference. We'll cover them off. Bringing a tear to my eye regarding Casemiro and his announcement, and any other questions that come up in the chat. So I look forward to seeing what you have to say, either in the comments or in the chat. But first of all, if you're new here, hit the subscribe, ring the bell, get the notifications turned on so you can always see whenever we go live. And just follow and enjoy the content, guys. Get involved. So first off, I'm going to get this up. This is what I expect to be the starting lineup. Obviously, David Raya in goal. I feel that although we can't ever really guarantee how Arsenal will line up, I can't see Madueke starting in front of Saka unless there's injuries that I'm unaware of, but I haven't heard any. I put Martinelli in, although I am hearing rumours that he won't be starting, so I can only guess maybe Trossard comes in on the left. Comical things about Declan Rice today. People trying to claim that he's the greatest player in the Premier League currently, and he might even be one of the best holding midfielders in Premier League history. Well, we've got Roy Keane. Technically, we've got Brian Robson, played the first ever season of the Premier League. You'd have to count that as playing in it. You know, and there's plenty of others. I'm not even sure Rice is above Tonioli. I would have said their level. So we'll see there. Subimendi, let's pronounce it right. Scored an absolute screamer at the beginning of the season, but hasn't really done much. But he's, apart from make them absolutely solid, protecting the back line. But I felt when we played him in the first game of the season, it was nothing special, and we made him look ordinary. Back four, I went with a little bit of a weird left and right back, just because we're not entirely sure what will happen. This was taken by Footmob, and I sort of agree with it. Timber can play left or right back. Obviously, there are problems at left back for Arsenal currently. Therefore, if he plays left back, Ben White comes in at right back, which probably would help us out. Ben White less quality attacking down the right. He'll still get up and down, but the quality's not quite there. But really, it's about that front line, well, front three of Martinelli, Odegaard, and Saka. Gyökeres is just a battering ram. Seeing how he's played for Arsenal, absolutely over the moon we didn't get him. I was thinking of a title for this video just being Gyökeres versus Sesko. The battle of what could have been. But so far, Gyökeres makes runs into the channel. Arsenal don't pass in the ball. And nothing really happens for that reason for him. Evening, Sean. Thank you for joining. Any questions about the lineup or any information that you've got, just chuck it in the chat and I'm happy to discuss it. But yeah, Gyökeres up front, I don't really see him causing us any problems. It's more the three behind him. It's Saka against Shaw. It's Martinelli against, we can only hope, Mazraoui. But Odegaard hasn't really been cooking up much this season. He's had a few knocks. Everyone tries to, well, especially Arsenal fans, trying to claim he's the same level as Bruno, if not better. They're still in dreamland. Sean says that, yeah, Rice and Gabriel are big threats. I'm guessing you're thinking more from the set pieces. Rice takes them, Gabriel heads them in. But yeah, at the back, that after seeing the information that's come out that they've moved into second, Gabriel and Saliba, as the second best Premier League partnership of all time, behind obviously the one and only Rio and Vidic. They've now gone ahead, but I think it was John Terry and Carvajal, and they're about 30 clean sheets behind Rio, but in I think 40 something less games or something like that. So unless Arsenal stop conceding goals all of a sudden, they're not getting that this season. But yeah, Declan Rice progressing the ball forward. I can see maybe Kobe Mainu being given a man marking job on him again. Very similar to what he done on Rodri. It would make sense. You don't really change his instructions, and we'll see what happens from there. Obviously, the aerial threat, winning the balls, it's going to be very important for our midfield pick up second balls. I would like to see Bruno Fernandes playing off the shoulder of Supermendy. So Supermendy sort of has to keep an eye on him rather than every time he drifts away, one of the centre-backs has to step in, creating channels for Mbeumo to run into. But yeah, pretty much that's how I see Arsenal setting up. Like I say, I'm not sure on Saka. Some people are telling me Makoaki is going to start. And then others are disagreeing, saying Saka's starting. Either way, they're both dangerous. But the way we doubled up with Dorgu and Shaw last week on Semenyo, I could see exactly the same being done with Saka. The only difference is Saka is more of a threat going both ways than what Semenyo was. But again, this game's going to come down to the intensity and how we want to track the runners. So we'll have to see about that. So yeah, that's the Arsenal lineup. I don't know if anyone thinks it's going to be any different for, like, considering how we played in the first game against them. I am a little bit miffed. Oh, didn't like that. There we go. That's what I've gone for United's starting lineup. Obviously, Lamens in goal. Goes without saying every time. We've only got one keeper. And apart from Vitek doing bits down there in League One, if you haven't seen the save he made at midweek, oh my God, unreal. Strong hand to get it over the bar. But I don't see any changes. Like, first rule of management, you shouldn't change your winning team. Yeah, Sean's just come back. What I was going to allude to. We were the better side when we played them in August, but it was very much still like a pre-season friendly. We were very unorganised in the 3-5-1 that it seemed to be playing. It's going to be interesting because really all we're changing in the starting lineup, in my opinion, is we're bringing the extra defender back from up top. So it will be very interesting. But Arsenal, they attack well, but they're not such a fast attacking team. They obviously want to build up. So it will be interesting to see how Shaw or Dalot get forward. I would rather see Mazraoui starting at right back, but we haven't really heard about if he's been given any time off or anything. It wasn't mentioned in the press conference. I'm hoping maybe it comes out in the embargo, but by then that's Sunday morning and it's too late for. Well, I could have done a preview very early Sunday before my match, but I still don't think it will change anything. But I am worried about Martinelli up against Dalot, but Dalot will be able to get him booked if Dalot can stay on the pitch this week. Because let's be fair, we all know he shouldn't have stayed on the pitch, not just for the tackle, but the kicking the ball away and about one or two other potential yellow card, should we call it, problems, like delaying throws and things like that. So we were very lucky for him, not in general. Maguire, Martinez at the back. It'd be interesting to see what Martinez does against Gyökeres, because Gyökeres likes to make the diagonal runs into the corner flags to receive the ball. It's a totally different kind of thing. So if Martinez follows him, it creates space for 1v1. And I am a little bit worried about that. Sean says Dalot got the ball. In my experience, getting the ball these days has gone out the window. The amount of times that I've seen players get the ball and get booked or sent off for the follow through in the Premier League now is one too many. If you get the ball, you're right. It shouldn't matter. The ball more hit his foot than he got the ball, is the way I see it. But either way, it was a yellow, maybe not a red. He then kicked the ball away when he was flagged offside. He delayed a throw in numerous times, trying to take a long throw and was asked to do it quick. That was another potential chance of getting a yellow. There was a few options, but the ref could have got him off the pitch if he wanted to. And let's be fair, we were half expecting the player to get sent off. Evening, Danny. Thank you for joining. Yeah, Luke Shaw, I thought had a solid game. The way him and Dorgu linked up, well, actually, Dorgu, Ahmad, Dalot, and Shaw, the way they doubled up was proper old school 4-4-2 defending, where one goes to the ball, one's ready to pick up the runner in behind. And I thought that was perfect. And I questioned in the review why we weren't doing that, because technically Ahmad and Dorgu are playing the same position they played as a wing back when you're defending like that. So why were they not doing that under Amarin? It could only have been a tactical instruction, but they certainly weren't getting wide with that much intensity, and that doesn't come down to it. Yeah, what we got here. Let's have a look. Just popping in to hit the like. Yeah, hit that like. Whoever gets in the chat, smash me a like, please. Yeah, the under 21, the under 18s 2-0 up against Derby. Cheeto scored a couple of goals in a few minutes. Yeah. And so they should be. You know, at the end of the day, it's FA Youth Cup. We should be still putting 4 or 5 minimum past Derby, in my opinion. But cup matches is a very different thing. Yes, I was going to bring this up later on at the end of the show. James Garner, heavily linked with coming back to United, has signed a contract extension at Everton. So that's out. We all know the secret at midfielder now is Ndidi, if you believe the information that came out. I still think we've got as much chance of signing any secret midfielder as we have as bringing Paul Pogba back to the club in midfield, or maybe even Jesse Lingard. So, you know, I don't fancy our chances in the transfer market right now. So, moving on to midfield, Mainu, Casemiro. What can we say? Like, I'm going to come back to Casemiro later on, but best player for me personally this season. like most consistent every game. He's so consistent that we know after 60 minutes he's going to be pretty much getting pulled off the pitch because his legs are gone. And I don't have a problem with that. If you literally run hard for as long as you can until we have to drag you off the pitch, then that's good enough for me. And that experience, you can see he wants to go out with a bang. Let's look at the irony. Even in Casemiro's time at United, he still won more trophies than Arteta has while sitting at the top of the league for Arsenal. So Casemiro, Mainu, like I said, I can see Mainu doing a man marking job on Rice. Casemiro just sitting there, jumping on Odegaard every time the ball comes into him. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, he's a ninja, Sean. The way he gets in on a set piece, he always has done, be it a corner, a free kick. They just feel, he's too small or something, but they don't want to stop him. Like, if he had more quality on his end product, he could literally be a 10-goal a year midfielder with his heading and finishing. So it'll be interesting how you replace Casemiro. It's not just the name, is it? He's got the experience. He's got all the Champions League titles. He's learned to love Manchester. I'll be very surprised if he moves out because of the age of his kids going to school in England as well. Obviously, he's expected to take another contract somewhere else or just go retire back to Brazil. But I half expect him to stay in Manchester. Mainu, so far, don't clip me up, but he's had one good game. I said this on Monday night on Tactical Devils about Martinez, who wanted to clap back at ex-professionals. You've had one good game, and that's against City. The two games before that, obviously Mainu, he showed glimpses of coming back under Fletcher. Didn't really do anything special, so picking yourself up against Man City is a must, I would say. If you're Manchester born and bred and you're a United fan or player and you've grown through, you've got to give everything and you've got to beat City. So it will be, in my eyes, this is just as big a game. Like I say, maybe it's just my age, but as this is titled, History Never Dies. The history of Man United versus Arsenal has been title deciding. We stopped the Invincibles. We could just keep going. So the shoulder drop did send Semenyo, but at the same time, it wouldn't have taken much just because of the speed he was coming in, Sean. You know that. You know from a coaching point of view, the faster they're moving, the less you have to move. You can just send them with a little feint, a little drop to the left, a little drop to the right, or even sometimes just standing still. And the player can miss you because they're expecting you to move. I think Semenyo was spotted running all the way down to the south coast. He was still going after the game. After that shoulder feint, though. But Bruno Fernandes is the next one sort of on the list because I think Amad and Dorgu, it's interesting. You can see I've set us up in more of a 4-2-3-1. But it felt like at times, if we didn't have the ball, it was a 4-3-3 with Amad Dorgu high pressing, ready to jump. I saw I saw it in the game, but I saw a very good clip of Kobe Mainu. And when someone told me what the words were, I did actually technically read it off his lips afterwards, where he's told Bruno, we've got the ball up there, just keep it. Shouting back at the players. I felt the communication all the way through was more aggressive, which I liked. Dorgu and Mbeumo were running for the same balls at times, and you could hear the shout to leave it, or my ball, or the communication. I'm hoping for this game though, Amad and Dorgu are maybe closer in towards Bruno Fernandes. So we play almost like a narrow 4-2-3-1 4-3-3, or 4-4-1-1. So you play a box midfield. Bruno pushes on more up front with Mbeumo, and we see what happens. No, it's one of the most important things in football. For if you see it, you say it. You know, you should have enough respect for each other as a footballer, as a teammate. But I'm not shouting at you, telling you you're rubbish. I'm telling you that's what we should do. In my opinion, keep that ball. And maybe that was an instruction. When we get the ball up there, let's not waste it. Let's not give it away quickly. Let's move it around. And we've all seen the clips now of Cunha, Bruno, Cunha, Bruno, Cunha, Bruno. Keep that ball, move it around, get it all the way, recycle it, and get out the other side. I don't know where that football's been for the last, 12 years, 15 years. But any professional footballer should be capable of that one-touch, two-touch passing. If we do that against Arsenal as well, we can open them up. They leave some pretty big gaps for their own passing lanes, and I think we can exploit them. And that's where it's going to come heavily on Ahmad and Dorgu again, to be in that high position, high and wide on the opposite side, so we've got the switcher play. And that's why Bruno, as much as everyone thinks I'm not a big fan of Bruno, I wish he didn't play so many long diagonals. I wish he played every week like he played against City. That's all I've asked for all the time since probably under Ollie. And there's got to be something in this. The way Bruno played against City is the same way he was playing under Ollie, and Carrick was obviously coaching, where he was playing quicker, shorter passes. Once he's played a long one, the next 2, 3, 4 balls were short. Possession retained and things like that. So it will be, like I say, his game for us to win or lose tomorrow. I feel it's going to be very much on Bruno. Exactly, different managers, different tactics. But I don't necessarily agree that Amorim slowed things down, because the way we played against City, if we played like that under Amorim, we would have been very close to how his Sporting team played. They moved the ball quick. They quickly transitioned from defence to attack with the runs. And I could literally see us do that City game under Amorim. I was just like, we would have been so dangerous, especially when we had the front three with Ahmad and Mbeumo. Ahmad as a wing back and Mbeumo there, Cunha. But maybe the main part is bringing Mainu in. Maybe that is what we've been missing. Just to link the play up. Just to, like you say, a ball carrier, the drop of the shoulder, sending someone to go get you some food at half time. Semenyo, milkshake, burger, and 2 fries, please, mate. Bring it back from the stand for me. I'll be in the changing room waiting. But yeah, Mbeumo up top. How are we thinking of that's going to go? Are we thinking Mbeumo, or are we thinking? For me, I'd like to see Sesko, but I don't think the manager's going to do it. I don't think the manager actually rates Sesko that highly. Maybe it's a striker / finisher is the problem. But the problem with Mbeumo is against Saliba and Martinez, they're quite quick as well. So physically, they can dominate him, and he can't dominate them with his pace as much as he did against City. You've got to remember, City's defence was terrible, so it might have made this look better. I think at least with Sesko, the height causes a problem. They can't exactly jump over the top of him and win a header. A lot of people have picked up on Mbeumo being constantly pushed in the back, 2 hands push to head the ball. It's not 2 arms pushing him. It's him backing in towards the defender, and the defender's got 2 arms out and just straight armed him off. That's not a foul. That's holding your space. You do see it a lot given, but it's not a foul. As long as there's no actual shoulder movement, forward push. It's a bit like a shoulder barge. If what I call, if the chicken wing comes out as you shoulder barge the player, that's a foul because you've levered him. But if you hit him clean with just the shoulder as a shoulder tackle, then that's fine. So I do think Mbeumo has a lot to learn on the playing as a centre forward if the ball's in the air. But that's fine. He's young. He can learn it. What's Sean say? I dropped Amos for Sesko for hit his height. Cunha to left wing, Dorgu to left back. So you leave Shaw, take Ahmad and Shaw out or win inside. So you make two changes to the starting lineup. I can see why. I don't think Dorgu's good enough to go up against Saka personally. I think the advantage of Shaw training in England against Saka will always come into it. I always think that's a big advantage. And I do think I can see why you would say Cunha for Dorgu going into the attacking formation with being a ball carrier. So yeah, maybe. Their left and right back will be how Ahmad and Dorgu really pay off tomorrow, Sunday even. Because if Ben White does play, then Dorgu might have a field day against Ben White. But Ahmad will have one hell of a test against Timber. If they can get Skelly or Calafiori onto the pitch at left back, then that changes everything, and that's a very, very solid back four that they will have. And it will be important that we make penetrating runs, maybe finding the second or third man on the run. So Bruno probably won't be able to play as many through balls over or between the gaps as we would like. So we can push their defence back with the runs. I agree, getting Sesko into the box, make the runs, drop them, and then he can throw the ball into the box and see if we can make something happen. But yeah, so that's the United lineup pretty much gone through. I can see a case for Cunha coming in, like I say, left wing. Even if just replacing Dorgu out, Cunha in, but Dorgu scored, so it'd be a test to Michael Carrick's character if he was to drop either Shaw for and drop Dorgu back, because I thought our back line was solid. I thought the way they doubled up was solid. And what's happened here? I don't know if I've just gone misty on everyone. Let's do that. No, it's done it again. This happened last week. Bear with me 2 seconds. I am just going to have to switch the camera. Gotta love these technical problems. There we go. And I've just got bigger. Right. So yes, Cunha coming in on the left. I can't see, just because I think messing around with Dorgu after he's had such a good game is a bad management style. Same with Ahmad, but then you could say the same about Mbeumo. So that's why I went with the lineup I said, because I just can't see the manager tweaking it. But the one change for me is Sesko maybe in for Mbeumo. I can't really describe it anymore. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to go over regarding the starting 11 and any sort of questions for me, what I think we might do? I do think we're doing a bit more of a man marking job on the Subamendi and with Bruno, and then have Mainu marking Rice. Otherwise, we go man for man all over. And I think Harry Maguire absolutely pockets Gyökeres physically and in the air, and Martinez picks up all the runs. So I almost feel comfortable with them attacking us. Whether we can get behind them, whether we can soak up enough pressure to counter on them. They are a lot quicker at the back than City are, so that will be interesting. But yeah, moving on, we will have to address the sad news that came out of Old Trafford today. Well, this week regarding Casemiro. For me, gutted that they're not renewing his contract. I wanted him to stay. I would have loved him to be a coach. I just think he's still one of the links back to old school central midfield play. Happy to take a yellow card, happy to dive in on the halfway line and stop a counter attack all day, every day, and then have that childlike look on his face, like, "What? That's not a foul. What do you mean?" So, Casemiro hanging up his boots. How are we feeling about that? Obviously, I know the counter argument is, well, it's 300k a week off. His wages were also due to go up if we go into Europe, because all the players will get their wages reinstated from the 25% wage cut they all got. So, yeah, I have so many good things to say about him, but obviously most of it was based around Real Madrid and his career. As I said right at the beginning of the show, Casemiro has won more trophies at Manchester United than Arteta has in all of his career of looking after Arsenal. So there is that. So he hasn't exactly gone unnoticed, or maybe his wage hasn't been justified, but I felt for getting him was justified. We didn't really, Declan Rice, we were never really in for Declan Rice. I think he still goes to Arsenal all day and twice on Sundays. Even if we had entertained the 100 or gone 110 or 120 to try and buy him. Sean says as long as we replace him, I'm fine with it. But is it a thing of just replacing him? I know everyone's thinking that Anderson's Walton, perfect midfield. That's what we're going to work towards in the summer. Right now, I can't see us buying, anyone, Mr. Anderson from, let alone Elliot Anderson. It's dark times when it comes to believing in Ineos and the transfers. I hate to say this, and I am and always will be Glazers out. I've lived through every second of them being involved in this club. But one thing, when we were in a bad way or something bad has happened, i.e. manager sacking, we knew the Glazers would put their hand in their pocket and go, right, we need good PR. And they just went out and spent a load of cash they didn't have and got us someone. And we could really do with that with Casemiro now. Bring in Elliot Anderson. It looks like we've got no chance for Walton unless we get Champions League football, that he's going to go somewhere else. The Ruben Neves links, I've just seen this here. It would be, but there's literally nothing on it. That's the worrying thing, that there are players out there, and Ndidi, literally some of the worst stats of all time in the Premier League for his position. So that probably is who we'll end up with. Let's not lie. Let's not beat around the bush. That's probably who we'll end up with. But when it comes to replacing Casemiro, that's not someone you can just go out and do it. It's not just all about, but his legs are gone, so we can bring someone in. They have got to literally have, like Sean, you said about how he sneaks in on the free kicks. He's got that ghost-like movement, even when he's defending. And it only seemed that he would always get caught on the ball because he was left on his own. But alongside Mainu in the last couple of games, he's been back to his best. Bruno alongside him under Amorim, I thought this season made it a lot easier for him to get on the half turn and just clipping balls into channels and progressing us forward. But if it's not Elliot Anderson, it has to be a loan. The loan market is poor for these kind of players. We could probably go out and bring back, mate, a couple of players on a free in the summer. But right now, there's not much out there. Yeah, I agree. I think we could even get Nezers on a bloody loan and get, just say to him, just come to us short term, 6 months, play well, and you'll get a permanent move back to the Premier League. A bit like sort of Amrabat. I thought he was okay for us. He's gone on and got a better move. God, what's his name? I keep going to say Szoboszlai. It's not Szoboszlai. The attacking midfielder. He's I think Austrian. Begins with S. He was on loan, but we wanted as well. Can't think where he's gone. It's gone out of my head. Is it Szoboszlai? Sabitzer? Sabitzer. It was Sabitzer. See, it came to me just before you put it in. Thank God. He got a decent move out of being with us. So I could see Ruben Neves maybe, come on, we'll pay you 150 a week, which is over the top for him, and just bring him back in just for that. Neves would bring back the screamers from outside the box, and the Skulls. Yeah, didn't even score Paul Scholes corner volley. I do believe at Wolves, corner straight over the top, hit on the volley, and he scored that. I'm pretty sure he got one. But yeah, the Casemiro replacement, for me, it was great to see United had done a video. What I didn't like was apparently that was his request. They wanted to keep it quiet until the end of the season, and he wanted to get the information out there. So I am a little bit miffed again why they would do that when they know Man United are looking for a midfielder. Maybe they thought that not announcing that he was leaving would help keep prices lower for a midfielder, but I don't see it myself. It's not exactly the biggest secret in world football that Man United need a central midfielder. He's getting the bidding war go early. Well, this is it. I generally don't know if he is going to go and just take the massive payday, because of the age of his children and his wife. I can't see him going to, Al Hilal or anyone like that. I could see him going back to Brazil, but again, he wouldn't want to necessarily take his family back there. They don't really travel with him when he goes for the Brazil games. And the kids are of the age, I believe they're around year 5, year 6 in English terms, school-wise. So we see them as, it would be the equivalent of going elementary to high school in America. So for us, it's junior school to high school. It's an important time, and maybe the mum won't want to uproot the kids and he stays in Manchester. Maybe he comes and does some coaching. Can you imagine being coached by Casemiro? You'd need an interpreter most of the time, to be fair, but just in general, he could just point, just be there, do that. His legs are gone, but his brain's still up there as one of the best in the game. So sad times. I don't know what else we can say. It was great to have him come, but unfortunately, Man United do love to bring in superb midfield players who are past their best. There is a long list of either failed midfield players like Sebastian Veron, who still world class but just didn't work. But then there's also obviously Casemiro with his legs are gone. You had the Germans. I was going to say why I've got Szoboszlai in my head. I've been talking about him with the missus, surely or something, because obviously she's a Liverpool fan. But there's just a long list of failed midfielders because we bought them too old. It's like we bought the name. Maybe again going back to mystery midfielder. Maybe that will be one of the ones who have been Schweinsteiger. Thank you. Literally, the names are not there for me tonight, and I don't know why. You've got a aging problem in midfield, and we replace him with an old player. It's beyond our worst nightmare, but I believe most of us are just coming to expect it now. So yeah, it'll be sad. Casemiro's going, but it'll be the end when he walks off that pitch. End of the season, 15 games from now, and he's got a Champions League football. That's the way I see it. Casemiro is a natural winner, and he'll go out with a bang. I can't see us failing underneath us, and underneath him, and I believe he will drive us forward to get a European spot back. Moving on from that, well, thank you for popping in, Sean. Appreciate all the comments. Maybe I'll catch you over on your show later on. If not, I will definitely be watching it on catch up. Obviously, thank you for the comments and all your work in the chat. Moving on from Casemiro, Carrick had a longer than expected press conference, probably the longest non-embargo session for a few years, if I'm honest. He went into a few details about certain players. The main one that was a topic for me was what he said about De Ligt. Now, De Ligt was meant to be in a small injury. I'm taking this off the top of my head. Basically, the manager got asked, De Ligt was meant to be a small injury, like 1 or 2 weeks at best, and he'd be back. And we've still not seen him now since, obviously, the end of last year. We were then led to believe by, I'll call it a dressing room source, that basically had some form of like a spot on his back, and it was like the internal sac was pressing on a nerve, and it was very hard to drain. Even if it was that, I would have thought he was back now. So Carrick come out today, very honestly said, we thought he'd be back by now. There's been a setback, and he'll be another couple of weeks. Now, obviously, with De Ligt, the biggest concern about signing De Ligt was he was injury prone. He does go through long periods on the sidelines at Munich and at Juventus. Obviously, not so much at Ajax. I was going to say AC Milan. But then he was younger, and his league is much slower and physical. So maybe that had something to do with it. We then got sort of like no Xerxes by the sounds of thing. I don't know if people have seen the news already today. I'm going to expect you have, but Tammy Abraham is pretty much a done deal for Aston Villa. So Tammy Abraham will be leaving Roma to sign for Villa, which will leave a spot open for a striker at Roma, which Xerxes has already been linked with. So I don't know if Xerxes got a knock, or basically if they're just completing the circle, so to speak, and Xerxes will be on his way out the door. Carrick was speaking highly, saying he could still do a job. Everything you would expect the managers to say. Then there was there anyone else out? I'm trying to think. There was nothing said about Musa. I thought that they would bring something up about whether Mazraoui had been given some extra time off because of the AFCON and obviously reaching the final and falling short, but that takes an emotional drain on you. So he's just had a month of non-stop in his home country, so maybe a bit of time off there with family. But apparently everyone else is fit. I don't think I've missed anyone. If I have, whack it in the comments afterwards, or even put it on in the community. If you haven't seen, I've opened up the community tab on YouTube now, where you can go to the United Lens page, find a post on the community tab, have your say, anything you want maybe brought onto the show. Danny the other day suggested that, I think it was, we look more into the youth and the current youth setup and players coming through instead of just throwing names out there like they do. Like for the first time tonight, the youth team's actually lined up with JJ Gabriel and Obi in the under 18s, where Obi's been playing for the 21s all season. So they're going all out for the FA Youth Cup, as we always do, and it is expected, I would say, at this club. I'm just trying to see what the actual full lineup was. I know Lacey wasn't playing. Well, I think that's because of his age. I think he's now too old. But yeah, we had Byron Hughes, Heflu, Mills, Armour as captain. Conkey, was only on the bench the other week. He's starting. McCormack, Shaw, Bailey, and then up front, Mantaro, Obi, and Gabriel on the left. What a front three that is of future prospects. So I do obviously keep an eye on the youth, being a youth team coach myself. But it's very hard at the moment because our youth is about 16 and 17 in the under 18s. And then it's about 18 to 20 in the 23s or 21s. Depends which tournament they're playing in. And when we go into Europe, it can be 17s. So it does get very confusing, probably for most fans. We have obviously a game against Arsenal. So all these players that are playing tonight will not be allowed to be on the bench. So I'm guessing Lacey has been lined up to play, maybe with the first team, but that means no Obi and no Xerxes. So Sesko, Cunha, and Bumo is why I'm going with only one up top again, just to keep the different aspects on the bench, whether it be running in behind, carrying the ball, or aerial threat. We can tick all three if we only play the one striker. With other stuff, what else did he talk about? He mentioned about Sesko, about that he hasn't taken him out the limelight to because he felt he needed a rest. It was more. He just kept coming back with a tactical. For that game, it was more tactical. In different games, he'll offer us a different threat, and because he's young and rotation's better for him, so obviously not playing every game. Which, let's be fair, for the last two seasons, that's been the main critique of Rasmus Højlund was he may not have been good enough, but he was definitely not good enough to play every game. Say almost 100 games for United. It just wasn't on. And Sesko's in the same boat. He's got to learn. He's got to get up to speed with the Premier League and look at how to take his chances. If he takes 3 touch when it should be maybe a 1 touch, then that's not good enough. And with the right coaches, which I believe have come in with Carrick, maybe this will help him progress forward. I'm just trying to think of anything else that was brought up in the press conference. Most of the good stuff is always in the embargo. Most of the questions that we really want to hear. There was talk about Maguire's contract because obviously Casemiro being announced he's leaving. Maguire was just sort of said that he will be looked at in the coming weeks. So be what you will of that. I can't see us getting rid of Maguire. I can see us triggering his 1-year extension just because we need to keep players in the club because we're not going to go out and buy 5, 6 or 7 in the summer. So it's quite straightforward. He gets a 1-year extension, in my opinion. They just got to sort out the details on how much money. And maybe that's why the 300,000 for Casemiro is an easy get out. They can come to a mutual agreement. And Harry Maguire, maybe he's okay to just take a small pay cut. So we'll have to wait and see. Is there anything else? I'm just trying to think. I don't think there's anything else really to go over. We can come back if you want to talk about what's going on Sunday, the games of the past, I'll see you out there. Tunnel outburst from Roy Keane to Vieira. Martin Keown slapping Van Nistelrooy around the head. What would we like to see? I'd love Sesko and Gyökeres, just one of them right in the eyes. Let's find out who's better out of the two of us. Because let's be fair, both linked with both clubs. Pretty much, I think nearly every fan would have thought Gyökeres to us, Sesko to Arsenal. I still see that as a better fit for both teams. If I'm honest, I can see Gyökeres and Bruno just linking up perfectly at United, but it's not going to happen. So let's have them staring each other down and saying who was the better buy. Right now, Sesko's probably just edging it on goals and performance, but Gyökeres is right up there, top of the league in both Champions League and Premier League. Well, I think they're second in Champions League, but you know what I mean. They've won every game. So, is there any other kind of fights we would like to see break out? Good old-fashioned rivalries. Martinelli against Dalot, maybe. Odegaard, Bruno. Seems that's the one you'll see on the thumbnail. Captain v captain. Come back to me in the comments if you haven't got time to come in the chat now. Maybe you're listening to this and watching something else, or just don't want to type. That's fine. Just come back on the comments and say what kind of bust up you would like to see. I would love to see sort of Harry Maguire going up, like absolutely dominating Martinez and Saliba. That's what I want to see more than anything. We know Harry Maguire is an absolute beast in the air. Let's just get him up, big slab head, take the ball or take their head. I want to see some fight. I want to see some proper aggression like we had against City. This game is maybe even a little bit bigger than playing against City. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably an age thing. If you're in your 40s, you grew up with Man United and Arsenal fighting constantly for everything. I would say if you're in your 20s, that you've not really experienced that hatred we had for each other. We knew week in, week out, that was the only results. We only care, first or second. And you're just looking, what happened with Arsenal? How did Arsenal get on? So that's going to be a huge thing. But I think that covers everything now. I think we've gone through most things for the show. There hasn't really been any horrendous media comments this week. Obviously, everyone going in on Paul Scholes, which is just a joke. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am trying. Just got to put it out there and see what comes back. If I don't know what side of the fence people sit on with the Paul Scholes. His clip was definitely a clip up. There was more to it. I totally would send everyone to watch the actual full podcast with Scholesy and Butt. I'm not going to advertise it. But they what they went on to say and explain is fine. If you haven't seen, it's not the overlap, is it? What's the one which come out today with Carragher and Scholes? I put a little short up of how he explains himself. I agree about the comments about Martinez. Were they harsh? Yeah, it was a joke, tongue in cheek, little man syndrome, chatting back that he's going to pick him up and run with him. It clearly wasn't ever going to happen anyway. But the biggest part was you were crap the 2 games before, so you've had one good game against Haaland. Now go out and have a good game against Gyökeres. Then have a good game against the next team, the next team. Get 15 games out of the way, and then no one says anything, and they have to take back their words. Hey, I was wrong, and everyone's happy to do that. Everyone is happy to take back their words when you go out and you fight for every ball. I do it for Bruno. You know, I think Bruno Fernandes walks around the pitch too much, trying to find space, doesn't work hard enough for the team in the right ways, in how I would do it. Everyone has criticisms of their less favourite players. Okay. But Sunday's game, I keep going to say tomorrow, Sunday's game is more important than the City game with heart and passion. Do you know how much bigger dent we can put in their chance of winning the title? We literally can make them bottle it. You can, I think they're 8 points clear. That'll be down to 5 if we beat them. It could be cut down again depending on other results. Seriously, guys, everyone's got to be behind that. We all need to be shouting, screaming at the TV, at the game. If you've got a ticket for the Emirates, good luck paying their extortionate prices. I really do feel for you. But we've got to go out. We've got to fight for every ball. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with my final thoughts of Sunday is not a fun day. It's about getting the job done. It's about getting the result. And it's about showing them that we are still the most dominant team in the Premier League, even when we're having a bad season. Good night, guys, and I'll catch you next time on United Lens.